Good evening. In a couple of hours, it will be the 31st day of the year. And so, another year almost finished. Pretty amazing, huh? I think so. Especially the kind of year that it's been. Oh, my computer isn't working so well today. I'm not going to worry about it. Almost the 31st. Oh, Mercury it's been retrograde pretty much the whole month, and it went direct today, December 30th. So that's good news for those of you that follow that. And for those that don't, Mercury represents mind and communication and a lot of things like that. And when it's retrograde, those things can tend to be a bit muddled and more challenging than when it's direct. Kismet, please shut up. I think he's inventing things to bark at tonight. So, I have a journal for you from 9/11 of this year. It was the 3rd of that day, and the Mayan day was 4 star, or rabbit. That one's bizarre. What stars and rabbits have to do with one another, I don't know. Taking necessary breaks. Moving head to heart. And you know, I think that's probably the most important thing that needs to be done on the planet. If I was to try to encapsulate in just one suggestion the thing that would be most effective to bring us to resolution and into higher consciousness, it would be that. Move from the head to the heart. And there are a lot of people that aren't even aware that this is an option, or that one can function from heart and still, you know, not be lacking in the duties that we're used to mind carrying out. And so, you know, I know it's big. I know that I probably have a limited audience here, but I take great heart from having heard this same teaching from many different lips. Other people, in their own way, with their own understanding, are sharing the same basic thing. The biggest challenge is to move from head to heart. All of the fear, the turmoil, the trauma, the suffering, every bit of that is mind-based. And once people see this, that is huge. You know, and making this move isn't something that's done overnight in most cases. Somebody like a Byron Katie or an Eckhart Tolle did have that move overnight, but it's tremendously disruptive to the life. And so I prefer the way it happened, and it's happening with me, which is by steps, degrees, and stages. You know, time is good for some things, and it makes for a more gentle transition. Okay, let's see what I had to say on 9/11 about this. The sun finally came out this morning late, so I got my barefoot coffee time in after all. What a blessing. Days go better with Ra. I've been learning though. Oh, and by the way, I'm just using that. I mean, what do we call the sun? The sun is a being that's conscious. And to say the sun is like saying the earth. I mean, normally we say Gaia or Mother Earth or something. And so I'm not talking about some deity that's been called Ra and that kind of thing when I use that word. Sol, S-O-L, is another word for the sun, and from these, I guess, these are the bases for radiant, Ra, and solar, Sol. But I'm not meaning a particular god, just like I'm not meaning a goddess when I say Gaia. It's just an acknowledgement of the kind of like the personhood, the sentient being that is the sun. Okay, so I've been learning though how not being able to make eye contact with the sun, I'm a sun gazer, is no real hindrance. The sun is still there and still shining, even at midnight. Time doesn't matter to that. Thus, direct contact with the sun can be made at any time. Clouds or even planets blocking line of sight have no bearing on this. That and the fact that it's all an illusion anyway, and we contain the whole thing, but no matter. Even were it all real, this continual contact is still possible. It's a matter of heart, a matter of will, of what do you want. The torrential rains we've had have been a mixed blessing, I suppose. There's no harm to me, no problem at all, except that my phone and thus internet service is down. Sometimes it works that the landline will still connect and you can call out. I guess that's when the power goes down, not the phone lines. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is, but it doesn't matter at all. It will get fixed when it does. Considering the amount of rainfall we've had here in Arkansas, no doubt my service isn't the only one down. I think we had over 12 inches of rain here yesterday. Pretty amazing for Arkansas anyway, not for other spots. And I'm just remembering, I had somebody come and cut my phone lines in the box. And I think this might have been the day where I found out that I was indeed the only one not to have phone service that day. And when I called them out to fix it, they confirmed for me. I had taken photos that someone had, I guess, wanted to break in. I think I've got Fort Knox here. And so they were unsuccessful, and I'm grateful for that. But the phone lines had been cut in the box, so it wouldn't be noticed. People, So I have a full day of rest, a day of extra peace. I have no cell service either, so no worries about phones ringing at all. A break from the internet doesn't hurt anything either. Even a forced break like this can be a welcome one. It's a matter of attitude, and that flows from the heart, or it can. This too is a choice. There's a certain relaxation I'm noticing, and it's interesting. I wasn't aware that the tension was there. I'll have to watch that, see what it reveals. This personality I wear here tends to be duty-bound somewhat, and that may be the source of the tension that left. Since I can't upload anyway, there's a break to take a deep breath. I don't know who I'm kidding, really, with working so hard to get these journals posted, since pretty consistently each day I create more than I record and upload. Well, the unpublished total just keeps growing. Pretty interesting. What do I care? I don't know, just watching that. I'm noticing a caring crop up, concern about the phone being down. Something wants me to take a walk to my neighbor and see if their phone is down too. I'm just watching that. I fail to see why I should be concerned. It's tricky though, distinguishing things like this that come up. One wants to be ever receptive and responsive to what arises from heart without questioning that. And this is my joy, living like this. One can't expect heart guidance to make head sense. It makes a much higher sense than 3D or mind sense, and that's okay by me. Yet, when one is observing, one watches all that arises. It seems to me that this phone concern is from the mind, so I've been rejecting it. Or rather, just watching, not acting on it. Is all. I'll just keep watching. I'm heart-centered enough that if it's from heart, I will know at some point pretty soon. Okay, letting that go and just enjoying the forced silence is good. Soaking that up. I'm so glad, really, that if lines had to go down, it's not the power lines. It's still pretty hot here in Arkansas, in the upper 80s and 90s each day, pretty much. I like having the fans and the AC, of course, air conditioning. Not to mention the light and the computer power to write this. Wow, when I think back, even look back, to all of the handwritten journals over the years, it's quite a lot. Though I went for years at a time, sometimes without being faithful to journal, not so much. It was always close to my heart. For me, for the longest time, I resisted the automation of the journaling too. I used neither a typewriter nor a word processor for that. Just pencil and binder paper were my eventual favorites. I actually wrote so much that my right hand would get tired, 20 or more pages some days. Eventually, I taught myself to write also with the left hand, and I have many journals written that way. The most automated it was by use of mechanical pencils. I got pretty picky about the lead and the pencil I used. Writing instruments are important to writers, and that's just the way it is. They help with the flow. Well, maybe not that, but they just don't get in the way of it. And that's a better way to put it. The flow of the lead on the page must be smooth and dark enough too. I don't like hard lead that can barely be seen. So enough of that. At least I have something to fall back on should I be deprived of even the power or the computer. The journals can still keep flowing. That's so soul satisfying somehow. Not sure quite why, but I love this. I take sincere joy in what I do here, or rather what flows through here. And that's more like it. The flow is the blessing, and it blesses me always, as well as my readers and listeners out there. I don't know if you can hear it, but here it is, December 30th, and believe it or not, it's 60 degrees and raining. Or maybe 63, I don't know, but it's kind of amazing. Not one snowflake so far this winter, even though it's been plenty cold enough. We haven't had the moisture to give us that. Okay, I wish for everyone, everywhere, the finding of that thing that brings them such soul blessing and joy. It goes very deep. There's true joy in it, and I wish that for you. Joseph Campbell said it well when he said, "Follow your bliss." And that's the heart speaking there. And heart is source of this bliss as well. What gives you such joy as this? It doesn't have to make any sense. I don't care if it's tying fly fishing lures or digging for pretty rocks, walking on the beach or singing songs, writing poetry, or working with children, riding a motorbike. Whatever it is, just pay attention to that. Do what you can to make more room for it in your life. Make what adjustments you can, and they are necessary. You are important. This deserves your attention. We've got our priorities all mixed up. We get to thinking that the outer world, the job, the money, the rat race, and all of that is most important. It's a distraction. It's not important at all, just peripherally. It's important to feed your family, yes, as long as we're under this monetary system, which isn't so great. But the rest of that doesn't follow from this. That's just what's accepted today as the answer to that. But it's not. So maybe start unplugging from more and more of society's ways when viewing your life. Pay more attention to you. You are righter about things than you've been giving yourself credit for, I bet. What about you? What does your heart say to this? Are you ready to be more cooperative with the changes as they are coming? This is a good way to tune in to do that, to start loving yourself more and more than you do. So many things like self-respect and loving the self we give lip service to, but we're not generally sincere. If we were, it would show. We would carve out more time and pay attention to be given to that which brings joy into our life, no matter what it is. The programming in society is heavy, yes, to keep us kind of immobile and trapped in the matrix, but so what? What's that to you? Do you care about that? Why bother with things you can't change? Why bother caring? Maybe you can't stop the programming for the whole world, but you can turn it away, turn it off in your life there. You have the power to do that. Mind wants to make the programming and control we're under seem like such a big, impossible deal, like something that it will take Herculean effort and much time to undo, to move out from under. Well, that's nonsense. Just turn away from it. Refuse to participate. A lot of this is just terribly easy. Peaceful non-compliance. It's pretty sad when we don't make a move in our own favor, when we just let ourselves labor under these false beliefs. They make us uncomfortable. We feel that. We know they're false. Well, they're not false for you until you cease believing in them. By your belief and the way you spend your attention, the energy of that, you keep your own self locked in place there, in those nets. If only people knew how very easy it was to just turn around and walk away. You don't even need to fight it, to condemn it, or anything like that. Just turn away. Withdraw your attention, the energy of that. People just don't realize the power that is held within the ray, the energy of their attention on things. And this is what feeds things. It really is. If you don't want to feed a certain thing, then turn to other things. Put your attention elsewhere. It's pretty simple. But if all people would just do this, withdraw peacefully their attention from the nets and the matrix, well, the whole thing would just collapse. It is sustained both by our attention and somehow that we don't quite understand by the energy of our fear. That's why they program us so strongly to that. It vibrates with certain ones in the lower ranges of energy. They need to keep our energy vibrating like that in order for it to be useful and usable to them. So by merely raising your own energy there up higher, which we do as we're waking up anyway, you take it away from their uses, from them. And as I've said before, the dark beings, the ones who practice service to self, just by virtue of the path they're walking, long ago lost their direct contact, tie to the light. So in order to be sustained as beings, they must rob other beings of sustaining energy. Well, our appetite is for things that vibrate with us, like us. Their vibrations are terribly low. So the purest and highest light energy, well, they cannot consume that. It would burn them, be very unpleasant. And that is why, by our simple awakening and rising into higher frequency, into light, we simply escape the clutches of the ones vibrating lower, that I call dark. They can't rise up with us there unless they come back to the light themselves. Otherwise, we simply become indigestible to them. I don't know about you, but I like it that way. I think they deserve a little nausea. Let them go elsewhere for food and leave us alone, or come into the light. Those are good options to me. Well, do you see how tremendously empowered we are in this scenario? The cards are pretty much all in our hands. No, we can't control what's happening outside. That's not in our power right now, nor is it meant to be. Things are designed wisely. Just trust that and go on then. Don't waste energy belaboring a point that won't change anyway. What a waste. Just let go and move on. Be sensible, folks. We all do what we can. It's not up to us to go out and rescue the world. That's all in hand. It's happening anyway. Just play your part. Can you be content with just that? And for some, this is a change. They are used to carrying a far greater burden on their shoulders, thinking so much depends upon them. Well, it does and it doesn't. What you can do is a lot, just not in the way your mind thinks of doing things. We've all got some major mind adjusting to do. It starts with disbelieving everything mind has to say. That's the first and necessary phase to go through. For some, it's the hardest. Spend time with the no mind, with emptiness, with space, the void, whatever you want to call it. We need that break to unplug from the matrix, from so much that we've been wired into. So give yourself this break. You can do it. It doesn't have to last all that long, but it requires a complete letting go. No temporary thing will do. Just holding on until some time passes and you can pick up mind again. That doesn't work so well. That's cheating, my friends. Just let go. You can do this. Give yourself a huge break. No matter what is going on in your outer life, you can do this. If you're in school or work that's mentally demanding, it may just take a little more time. It can be done though. I've seen it happen. So just give up. Let go. Go mind-free for a while. I'll see you in heart. Okay, that's the end of the written journal. You know, this thing about feeling like we're responsible to go and rescue the world, my favorite prescription for this has turned out to be Byron Katie and her whole concept of the three kinds of business. Your business, my business, God's business. And it's just the most amazing of things. And things really start popping when you keep putting yourself in your heart again and again. Just kind of keep putting your attention in your chest there and holding lightly to the mind, not being so identified with it, not believing every thought that comes by and thinking you have to act on it and that kind of thing. Once we spend more time in the heart, that's where we plug in, and that's where the dance is. That's where, like Anthony DeMello says, we can be danced. We might say that Source is the dancer, and we are the dance. And it pretzels the mind, and that's very useful. But this whole thing about whipping yourself because you feel you have to be responsible and go save the polar bear or the panda bear or the, you know, three-winged tsetse fly, whatever it is, it's a really good idea to step back a good ways from that and just center in heart and maybe just not think about that for a while. Spend some time in heart and then go back and look at that again from heart. Once you get more used to being in heart, go look again only from heart space, and you may just be shocked because the perspectives change so radically, and there's no way that some mind understanding is going to prepare you for this. You just have to experience it. So that's my recommendation. Do this for yourself. Good day. Happy New Year. Bye-bye. And carrying out. And so, you know, I know it's big. I know that I probably have a limited audience here, but I take great heart from having heard this same teaching from many different lips. Other people, in their own way, with their own understanding, are sharing the same basic thing. The biggest challenge is to move from head to heart. All of the fear, the turmoil, the trauma, the suffering, every bit of that is mind-based. And once people see this, that is huge, you know, and making this move isn't something that's done overnight in most cases. Good evening. In a couple of hours, it will be the 31st day of the year. And so, another year almost finished. Pretty amazing, huh? I think so. Especially the kind of year that it's been. Oh, my computer isn't working so well today. I'm not going to worry about it. Almost the 31st. Oh, Mercury went, it's been retrograde pretty much the whole month, and it went direct today. Somebody like a Byron Katie or an Eckhart Tolle did have that move overnight, but it's tremendously disruptive to the life. And so I prefer the way it happened, and it's happening with me, which is by steps, degrees, and stages. You know, time is good for some things, and it makes for a more gentle transition. Okay, let's see what I had to say on 9/11 about this. The sun finally came out this morning late, so I got my barefoot coffee time in after all. What a blessing. Days go better with Ra. I've been learning though. Oh, and by the way, I'm just using that. I mean, what do we call the sun? The sun is a being with one another. I don't know. Taking necessary breaks. Moving head to heart. And you know, I think that's probably the most important thing that needs to be done on the planet. If I was to try to encapsulate in just one suggestion the thing that would be most effective to bring us to resolution and into higher consciousness, it would be that. Move from the head to the heart. And there are a lot of people that aren't even aware that this is an option, or that one can function from heart and still, you know, not be lacking in the duties that we're used to mind December 30th. So that's good news for those of you that follow that. And for those that don't, Mercury represents mind and communication and a lot of things like that. And when it's retrograde, those things can tend to be a bit muddled and more challenging than when it's direct. Kismet, please shut up. I think he's inventing things to bark at tonight. So, I have a journal for you from 9/11 of this year. It was the 3rd of that day, and the Mayan day was 4-star, or rabbit. That one's bizarre. What stars and rabbits have to do